Good morning, brothers and sisters. Maybe you're wondering, today is supposed to be a next generation peace Sunday service. But unfortunately, the people in charge today, they are in vacation or somewhere else. But after my message, there will be a special testimony from our dear Jacob Sar. He just came back from GPA. So he will be given his live experience with God in the front line. He just graduated third year, 3 years from GPA. So he will be giving us inspiration how he experienced God in the front line. But for now, please listen to me. My message for today is consulting God. And why do you think I choose this message? Consulting God. I volunteered to cook for our summer camp. Though I don't know so much how to cook, but I volunteered to cook. And when I'm cooking, I don't know how to use the gas stove. And then I have one of my partner in cooking. She doesn't know also how to use this. So she said, okay, let me ask first God how to open this. He said, before she started turning the oven, she prayed. I said, wow. And then that's why this message come to my head, consulting God first. So that's why I choose this message. It's real. If we are going to think that consulting God is very real in our life. Did you experience consulting God in your life? Yes? That's true. So thank you so much. I hope you will accept my message today. This is consulting God. And the first slide, what is consulting God? What do you think is consulting God? Consulting God is the act of seeking divine guidance or wisdom before making decisions. It involves turning to God for direction, clarity, and discernment in various aspects of life. When faced with choices or dilemmas, consulting God can help individuals align their decision with God's will. So this is like why, what consulting God is about. So this is the answer. That we are seeking divine guidance from God. And from that divine guidance that we are seeking, we can gain wisdom before making decisions, especially at this time. So much trouble is going on in the world. And sometimes it's scary to go out. Maybe we will pray to God. Is it the right direction that I should go, that I should drive? Or this is the right place that I should go? Like what happened yesterday. It was a terrible event that happened in the campaign of Mr. Donald Trump. It's very painful. The assassin is 20 years old. It's very painful to the choice of that young man. He has still a long life to live, supposed to be. He can enjoy life. But he chose to do that kind of action. I don't know his background, but I'm just feeling bad, I'm just telling to my husband, if he has something that inspire him to choose the right way of living, he will not be dead at that very moment. Maybe some of us will be angry why he did that. But I feel pity on him because he was given the life from God that he should not misuse. If we can put our own life or thinking he is our son or a child, what will be our feeling as a parent? Painful. So that's just my reflection last night. We need really to consult our heavenly parent and what decision making we should do in our life, especially maybe our young ones, which way of living we should choose. Because you are still young, you can enjoy life happily and joyfully without baggage if we are going to consult God. Of course, God is invisible, but we have our parents that we can ask, do you think, mom or dad, this decision is good? Don't forget that consultation. to our God and to our own parents. So that's why I wanted to share this message, consulting God. So this is, we are seeking a divine guidance or wisdom in any decision that we are going to do. So we can feel if it is really the good thing to do or the way that we need to follow. So that is what is consulting God for today's message to all of you. And next, why is it important to consult God? God Himself is concerned about everything that concerns us without exemption. And yes, He does care about the decision we make because He knows far better than we do that wrong decisions can have disastrous consequences. But God doesn't just want you to make the right decision, He wants to guide you and me to make a good decision. That's what I mentioned, what happened yesterday. That young man was not able to consult God if that action is really, good for him, for good for everybody. Even we we are so angry to someone. We cannot just decide, I need to kill this person. No. We need to hold on and ask God, forgive me, God. This is not right decision to make. It can damage me, and it can damage the entire world or some group, not only him or the person that he is attacking, but the environment itself can be damaged. So please let us consult God for any decision that we are going to do. I know that I want to mention our Korean family, how they decided to choose Ohio State University. Did you consulted our heavenly parents to come to America and choose Ohio State University as your place to work? Yes, you think? Thank you for choosing Ohio and welcome. So that's why I asked because Ohio is Midwest, like agricultural state. But Korean, you choose Ohio State University to be a professor there. So I hope you choose God, you consult God in that decision. So thank you. And the next. Then, what are the advantages of consulting God? Huh? Do you think there is advantages in consulting God in our decision? And this one is the title, Life is Full of Confusion. How we navigate through alternative options and life choices is always difficult for many of us. There were some decisions that we personally made in the past that we now regret deeply. We strongly believe that we are not alone in this. So that is, if we consulted God and talked to God, it means you are not alone, or we are not alone in that decision making or the actions that we are going to do. And in that, if we consulting God, there is courage build up, no regrettable actions, and consulting God is the antidote to regrettable decisions, and shortcut is possible. And also in our own terminology, no paying indemnity. Huh? Because sometimes if we made mistake, we always say, you need to pay indemnity. That's our own terminology. Or there is a karma in other language. If you made a mistake or you never consult the way God wanted you to do it. If you made mistakes, they will tell you need to pay indemnity, or we need to prolong our own way of living. Instead of, for example, you are going to graduate high school for 4 years, you cannot graduate because you were not able to study well, or maybe in a different way. If your life is in a different way, you deviate from normal life, like you find a way that misled your life, like you become addicted to drugs or addicted to alcoholism. instead of going straight without taking, oh, I need to go to rehabilitation, you know, I need to overcome it by certain type of overcoming. Instead of going straight that you will graduate 4 years in high school, but because of these circumstances that you experience, it takes time for you to finish your high school or extension, you know. You need to, or sometimes you need to have summer classes just to cope up with this kind of needs because you lost it in this period of time because of the mistake that you have committed. You need to cope up for that. So that is like, there is no shortcut if we did not consult God in something that we are doing. There is failure, it's very difficult to mend it. And like, for example, what happened to Moses when the Egyptian killed his relatives, what he did in the Bible. He looked around, and he killed the Egyptians, and he buried him because he never thought that God is watching whatever action he is doing. He did not consult God, like pray, oh God, is it good to do it? Like that. Incomparable to David. When David is fighting in the war, during his time in the Amalekites, he asked God. He consulted God first and foremost. So David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I pursue this troop? You know? Shall I overtake them? And God answered to David, for sure. For you shall surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. That's the reason David first consulted God. That's why he became the victor in his fight during those times in his journey with God. You know, he consulted first God. But what happened to Moses, one day he went and saw his brothers, saw all that hard work. Then he saw an Egyptian hit a Hebrew, one of his relatives. He looked this way and then that. And when he realized there was no one in sight, he killed the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. He looked horizontally left and right, but did not realize to vertically, looking up to heaven before making his decision. He was anointed as a deliverer to the Israelites, but he acted not according to God's timing, and that took him into the wilderness for 40 years, where God taught him how to rely on him absolutely. That's the difference between David and Moses during those days. You know, David consulted God first, but Moses looked around horizontally, not vertically. So this is two central figures in history with different kind of nature that maybe some of us can understand, that we need to look upon vertically first before horizontally. So that's another thing. Thank you. And the next topic, I want to share with this what happened to the world when we never consult God. We know this kind of way in our own religious faith. Mother Moon, this is her speech, the year 1993 in Belvedere, I think, or East Garden. Before the fall of man, don't you think that Adam and Eve communicated with God directly? Huh? Do you think Adam and Eve communicated to God directly when Eve was tempted? She forgot to consult God. So, did they or didn't they? They did. That's us they're asking. They had a channel open to God, and you are in the same position. True Mother is saying that to all second generation attended the birthday of, I don't know, the daughter of True Mother at the time, or the grandchild. And, where I am now. Nobody else will be able to help you or set you there. You by yourselves have to create that internally and externally so you can directly communicate with God and through parents. If you truly wish to demonstrate the difference between the Unification Church second generation and the world at large. The elder brothers and sisters among you must be able to offer your artistic care and love to your younger brothers and sisters. This will enable them to learn from you and practice the same love and care for their juniors. This is the way we will be able to attain total unity among our second generation, and that will make the difference between the Unification Church second generation and the people of the world. If you practice this principle, then whenever true mother comes to America, she may invite you and guide you directly as she is doing today. She spoke that to all second generation. But I choose this topic because the next topic that I want to share with you is how the next, no more? I have one more slide before that. Oh, it's not there. One more. How, because my next topic is how we communicate with God. It's not there? Oh God, it's not there. Yeah. The next topic that I would like to share with you is how to consult God. Number one is we need to pray. Asking God for guidance before making decision is the first step in making a good decision. So, in this, we need to pray to God, and we need to show our humility to Heavenly Parents so we can ask the guidance and wisdom from God. That is one. And number two is we need to read, like reading the inspirational message of true parents to us so it can guide us in our own decision making. And also, we need to consider our circumstances, like weighing the advice of anybody that giving you advice, or take account of your heart's desire and estimate your own capabilities. And why I choose the words that True Mother said, we need to seek godly counsel. Find prayer partners who will support you in decision making. And another thing is to create or find an elder, sisters or brothers that can help you in your own decision making. If you cannot really talk to God directly, please find your elder brothers and sisters that can give you help in your decision making. That's why I choose that second generation, the elder second generation can help our young ones for decision making. So thank you. That's my short message today. I'm sorry I did not put that in the slides. But thank you so much. And after me, I would like to, let me pray first, okay? Thank you. Thank you so much. So after me, uh, let me pray first. Heavenly Parent and true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind, thank you so much that we can really come together here in our Ohio Family Church building. We are your sons and daughters, heavenly parents, and I pray that truly all of us can really consult you, your heart in our decision making, so whatever we are going to do, it is centered on you and centered upon your will and your desire. May this week really be a victorious day and week for all of us. Thank you so much. And I pray this in my name, Glory Loranas, blessed central family, adieu. So I would like to call on Jacob now for quickly. I am going to Las Vegas today, so I'm sorry, I'm rushing, but I will listen for short. I will attend 3 days workshop in Las Vegas. I just want to let you know in public.
Good morning. Hold on. Can you guys hear me now? Better? All right. Let me start with a Zambian greeting. The way we greet in Zambia is by saying Mwaka Bwanji. And the way you guys would respond is Buino Bwanji. So let's try it. Yes. So Mwaka Bwanji. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Reminds me like I'm back in my mission country. It means good morning. It's very beautiful. It feels good to be back. It's been such a long time. And I mean, you guys see the picture. It basically summarizes my whole year. God is a very good God, honestly speaking. And I want to share about the many blessings I was able to receive throughout this year, along with the many challenges that came up. So I'll be sharing about my journey on GPA during my third year, and I want to give it more in a story format. It was something I was inspired to do by Uncle Dunkley. I love how he gives his testimonies, so I'm going to make it more of a story. So come join me on this ride. Yes. All right, next slide, please. So, why did I decide to be a Chanuguk missionary? Why did I choose to do 3 years? Wasn't 1 or 2 years enough? That's what I thought too. So believe it or not, I made this decision while in Dominican Republic. And it was a time when we were witnessing for about 1 week. I was a captain at the time, so we weren't so focused on witnessing at the time. But in my experience, actually, it's okay if I talk without the mic? I'm better without it. You guys can hear me, right? Okay, yes. No? Okay. Is that better? I like to move around, There you go. Yeah, this is better. Okay. So yeah, I was in Dominican Republic, and I had honestly a challenging witnessing experience. First of all, one of the biggest challenges we face is language. Everyone speaks Spanish. So already with that barrier, it was hard to communicate as to what I was trying to bring to them. But despite the challenge, I gave everything. We know how to use Google Translator, telling them to come to an event, or try to lecture Divine Principle. Anyways, so we did this for 3 days, and none of my guests came. And it was honestly very painful to see, because you invest everything, and nothing comes back. And especially doing it for the sake of their spiritual life. So after that experience, I don't know why, but I felt I wanted to understand Divine Principle more, because I came to realize my understanding of Divine Principle isn't so intellectual. It's more artistic. I can share about the emotional aspect, but I don't really understand it for myself. So after some reflection and some prayer, and consulting with God, actually, I felt this calling to do a third year so that I could understand Divine Principle for myself. Because, I was a captain, right? And, you fundraise for the whole year. But my faith was built upon spiritual experiences that weren't grounded. Meaning God was more on the front line. When I make $1,000 or when I experience some crazy spiritual phenomenon, then God is there. But what about when I don't experience that? Is God still real to me? So this is where I decided to ground my faith intellectually, because if I'm going to share this or practice this for the rest of my life, I need to know what it means to me. So this is why I decided to do a third year as a Chanuguk missionary. So next slide, please. Okay, so here's some more practical reasons. The first reason is an intellectual understanding of the significance of DP, our movement, and true parents. I really wanted to understand what are the roots of what we have here. What is it the first gen finds so amazing about what we have, honestly speaking? Along with who are true parents on an intellectual level, to the world as leaders, rather than just, my parents. Along with that second reason, I wanted to experience the power of principle for myself and those outside the movement. Growing up, I always had the Divine Principle next to on my shelf, dusted up. Never picked it up. So I want to understand, what did this black book mean to me? What is it within it that has so much value? And the best way I can do that is by sharing it and also experiencing it for myself. And lastly, I wanted to grow a deeper sense of conviction in my identity as a child of God. Because still, I didn't understand what that meant. We always hear it, My mom would always say, you belong to God, or you're a second gen. You guys know the the sayings. But what does that mean to the world, honestly speaking? So these were my 3 main reasons. Next, please. So we start off pioneering in Morrisonville, New York. Anyone been there before? No one. So this is in upstate New York. I didn't even know this part of New York existed. My concept of New York was just a city, which is pretty ugly and disgusting to me. But man, upstate New York is so beautiful. So here we were sent to train before even being sent out to our mission countries. So this is our first task, and this was pioneering. And pioneering is essentially you're sent out to a town within America to serve, and basically natural witnessing. So one goal that so here's some highlights. We were able to volunteer at a state fair. So believe it or not, it's interesting that people are very skeptical about receiving help in this time and age. You know, I was here with this brother, his name is John. We were only two within the town. And the whole time, we would fundraise and we're preparing to host an event, essentially a witnessing event. But first, our main priority was to win the trust of the people within the town. But it was crazy. We were visiting almost every business, even hitting up the mayor's office, asking people for if they needed any help within town. And once again, people are skeptical because they think we're trying to take something from them. So it was difficult at first. And honestly, I was challenged with the aspect of trusting God because I'm trying to serve, but no one's receiving. So what am I doing here? I feel like I'm wasting my time. So essentially, it wasn't until the last day we were able to have a project to work on, which was to go to the state fair. The mayor called up someone on the last day, and with that, we were able to find some place to volunteer. So you can guess what we did. The thing that I did not like the most was just pick up trash. That was what we did, pick up trash at a state fair. I was so excited, to witness, to share divine principle, but I was humbled by God, a servant of servants, just picking up trash at a state fair and cleaning up after the animals. Through this experience, I came to understand what it means to serve, because once again, my experiences were very up there in the clouds. But the best way to experience God is by simply serving in any way possible. And through here, it was just through cleaning. But once again, we didn't give up on witnessing, and I could see how heaven moves through sincerity because we invested all our efforts into finding people who we could share divine principle with. So next slide. And this is where we met this guy. I forgot his name. But essentially, we found this brother who we were able to share divine principle with all the way up to the end of POC, which is purpose of creation. And it was a beautiful experience because what this man mentioned was how he felt a lot of love from me and this brother. We would listen to him, and he just opened up for some reason, a stranger we just met, and he shared about his life and what he's going through. And he found these ideals rather interesting because it's something he's never heard of. So, yeah, with the very last day, we meet a guy, and we're able to get this far. And it was amazing to see, God is with me as long as I sincerely invest constantly, regardless of the result coming in the moment. But I wasn't satisfied, honestly speaking, because one thing I struggled with the witnessing aspect is the fact that it wasn't really a substantial thing I could offer. Because after we met this guy, he's gone. We never see him again. So what was I doing? It felt like it was just an experience rather than something I could give to God, I want to bring someone into the movement. That was my heart when I went into this state. But now he's gone. I never seen him. I'll never see him ever again. All I can do is just trust that investment will be used, whether not in this time, but maybe in his future generation. Who knows? But anyways, I wasn't satisfied because I feel I wasn't giving anything. Once again, next slide, please. So now we move forward to Clifton, New Jersey, where I was able to witness as a witnessing leader. So one of the biggest highlights was being able to experience a new sense of community in a different state. We were able to meet with Pastor Naukimi. Oh, before I even go there, I want to mention one thing I love the most about New Jersey was they have short 100K sessions. Oh my gosh. It was a blessing. I remember we went to the Chumshu one on the first day, and the reading was 1 minute long. 1 minute. I was like, what? This is insane. Usually 100K is 30 minutes. But here they focus on quality rather than quantity. So it was amazing to see how the leaders could get so much from just one paragraph of Mother's memoir. And with that, I had to learn to be more attentive within the Chumshu one. Because, 1 minute I'm dozing, I just miss out on everything completely. So it was kind of cool to see that, it's a new standard of faith within the community. Some more highlights, being able to ride in Pastor Nalkimi's Tesla. You guys know he has a Tesla? It's pretty cool. What else? Teaming up with the New Jersey members. I don't know if you guys know, but we were able to team up with UPA missionaries that were sent by Mother. He's a brother from Korea, Jake Son. He was one of the first batches of UPA, the very first. He's the leader of the center. And then 2 sisters also from UPA. So it was cool collabing along with many GPA alumni, but just one family working together to witness within the household. So there was many other highlights, but the challenge was practicing my faith through relationships. I saw a discrepancy between my faith and my love for God, along with my love for people. I was like, man, it's so much easier to love God, to pray, to go to the Chumchuan, but dealing with people is a whole different level. Oh my goodness. So God showed me where I lacked in my relationships, especially with my team. You guys know nobody really likes leaders because, the leader has to be the one to tell you to get off your phone or to keep witnessing or to go study your divine principle. I didn't want to do it, but I did it out of love for my team. And of course, there was some rebellion. And I had to learn to understand where everyone was at. It was a humbling experience for me because I came to see that my standard was very high. And with that, I was putting the standard over my love for people, which essentially hurt my friend. Believe it or not, I never would have thought that would hurt someone that's very close to me. But man, that was such a painful experience. Because, I was just doing my best for God. And then I broke some part of my relationship with someone close to me. So, and I consulted with God too, believe it or not. I was reminded of Auntie Gloria's service. But it was a humbling experience to see that, being a leader means to have the heart of a parent and the shoes of a servant. And I learned to serve rather than speak. So I was really humbled to understand what it means to be a leader. And I admired actually True Parents even more because I was just going through this for 1 month. But True Parents went through this for their whole life with thousands and thousands of people they had to deal with. And man, forgiving is not easy. My goodness. I really had to learn. And one thing I'm really grateful for is Jake Son. I really feel that Jake is the leader from New Jersey, but he experienced the same type of challenge that I was going through in the moment because he was a leader for almost all of his life. So he could be there to counsel me and to guide me through the process of leading others and learning how to love and being patient and so forth. So that was one of the biggest lessons, learning to embrace. But also, what was amazing is that at this time, our movement was going through a revolution because of Mother's new direction. So the church was changing along with the frontline experience. So the way we would witness now was focusing more on environment, which was completely new to me. You can imagine. So it wasn't no more like going out with a divine principle and looking for people, but it was creating a fun environment which attracts young people and then having them be curious in us. And then we can share about our values. So the way we would witness is by movies. I was shocked. Remember the first day we came home, we came back from a long day of witnessing, and then they have a movie night. So we were watching Ghibli. Do you guys know Howl's Moving Castle? Yes. So it was amazing because so many guests would come into the carp house and watch the movie together with us. But I was struggling with this direction because, my leaders from GPA had a different sort of a standard for us, going out, witnessing with a divine principle. So this was new for me too. So I was like, am I here to witness or am I here to relax? I couldn't see the strategy behind this new kind of witnessing style. Along with that, we had dinner nights where we would cook different foods from different cultures. So one night we'd have Korean food, Italian. I would like African, but I can't cook, So whatever we could cook in the moment, Filipino. But then guests would come during that time. Next slide. I believe there's more pictures. Yes. But you can see, here's this picture of us sitting at a dinner table within the carp house or us going ice skating. It was very beautiful. Actually, we were able to bring a guest into the Chumchuan through this type of witnessing because they were so attracted to who we were as people. Because, when you're in a fun environment, you start talking out of nowhere, and then they get curious as to who you are and what you're doing, and boom, you can naturally witness. So this new direction was something that was phenomenal for me, like a new way of witnessing that's fun and enjoyable. That's something our generation is seeking for. So I enjoyed it a lot. I struggled with it at first, but then I could find a lot of love behind it. But also witnessing was difficult as well, because once again, in America, people are not so open to God. I remember I had an experience where a Christian found out I was a Mooney. Immediately, he persecuted me and blocked me. It's crazy. I don't even get a chance to speak. But as soon as they find out Reverend Moon, I'm done for. So I was just confused as to how am I going to share what I've been given without being judged for what the internet has put out for us. And I learned to unconditionally invest once again. I had a sister guest who did not receive any principle. I had to learn to share principle in a way that didn't use the book. I couldn't do it traditionally. I had to do it naturally, like through a conversation. So, I'd be like, oh, how's your family? What do you think about family values? Oh, have you heard of the Family is the School of Love? And then I would share, more and more. But it was difficult because it was hard to progress because, she keeps changing the subject, and then where do I go from there? But it was a process of learning to be patient, and it was beautiful because actually I didn't see the result until 6 months later, where the sister said she felt a lot of love from me. Because what I would do is, because she wouldn't receive principal, I'd just decide to just treat her out, bake her a cake or give her some encouragement with her college exams and so forth. But I could really see that love is the greatest principle for witnessing, honestly speaking, more than truth. I never expected her to text me 6 months later. But that was one of the biggest lessons I've experienced within New Jersey. So it was beautiful for me. So yeah, you can just see a little bit. The New Jersey community is very cool. Pastor Alkimi here, Halloween blessing me as Jesus and so forth. All right, so we can move on. So now we move into winter competition. So as a third year, I was still a captain. So I was able to lead one last time before leaving, and this was my team. Some of you guys know them, Manny, Will, Youngman. But one of my biggest highlights is going to Florida. Florida is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Along with that, we had Thanksgiving at an Airbnb, and the biggest highlight is feeling free to be creative as a captain. The standard of captaining changed as well with the new direction, because some of you guys who were previous captains, Uncle Chris, I read your book. The standard of a captain was very strict. Yeah. Like, you're constantly correcting people, making sure they're hitting their goals. Very wilderness, you could say, dying on the front line. So here I learned to be more embracive, which is something I inherited from my experience in New Jersey. So here I felt, rather than a captain, more of an older brother guiding my siblings. And I learned to maintain relationships with my younger brothers, like through getting to know them. Like that's the very first step of a relationship, getting to know someone before you even think of leading them. So I'd ask them about their experiences in the past with the movement, or how they feel about GPA, or where do they want to go in their life of faith. So I get an idea as to where they're at. But most importantly, within the first week, I just focused on loving them as an older brother to win their trust. So it's so crazy to me because within 2 weeks, I could see like how much they trusted me as a older brother. Like I wouldn't have to say anything or have to worry about what I said to them because I had their hearts. They knew I loved them, and because of that, they could take whatever I said to them, towards them. But I learned to serve. Oh my gosh, I served every single day, like making their beds, giving them massages. I don't really like touching people, but some brothers, their love language is touch. So I'd give them massages almost every single day, making sure the AC was on, but doing the small things which would allow them to feel a lot of love. And then from there, it was crazy because the results just naturally increased on the front line. Like when there's more love in the van, they wanted to invest more. They had more experiences with God. And the best part was even I could receive a lot of love from them, because I would ask them for help to create the culture that we want within the van, rather than me being a leader and controlling everything. So I didn't feel like a leader at all. I just felt like an older brother, honestly speaking. So I learned to let go of control and to let God work. As long as I'm his mediator through loving, then he took care of the rest. And I never would have expected this, but on my birthday, out of nowhere, my members found time to sneak into a Walmart and buy me some Kirby shirts, which is you see up here. And it's something we usually don't allow, but they did it behind my back. So I was like, but this is like the power of love. Like they love me so much that they wanted to serve me, even going against the rules, a little bit. So I was like, wow, like I never experienced something like this before. So yeah, that was my biggest lesson, being a true older brother. And of course, I was challenged at times with letting go of control. Because, when something is going bad, like maybe a member's struggling with fundraising or they're not bringing in as much results, I think maybe I'm doing something wrong. But once again, it was just going back to letting go and letting God work. So, next. Now, all the training is over and we head into our mission country in Zambia. So this is my team. We got Raina from New Jersey, Audrey from New Jersey, Yumi from California, and Tiger Rai from UK. This was quite an amazing team. And going to Zambia, I don't know if you guys know, but it's a Christian nation. So there's a lot of foundation in relation to God, which gave us a lot of excitement. Because, we thought witnessing is going to be easy. If everyone already knows God, then we just got to show them the divine principle and, we win the whole world. But God showed me otherwise. Yes. Next slide. So first half of Zambia. Oh, my bad. This is next slide. Did I put in the wrong slide? Okay, I just have to. Okay, perfect. So one of the biggest challenges I faced within Zambia. Okay, actually, before I even go there, I want to be honest. I did not want to go to Zambia. I did not want to go to Zambia. And the reason why is because it was a reflection of my past towards African culture. If you guys know, I'm African, and I grew up within an African household. And if you guys don't know, Africans are very strict. So going to Zambia, I knew the standard was going to be high. And guess what it was? To give you a estimate as to how high the standard is, if you're late even for 1 second of greeting, 120 bows. 120 bows. So that's how strict it is. So going there, I didn't want to face what I felt like was a reflection of my relationship with my parents. Because actually there were many leaders who resembled my mom and my dad who I struggled with so much. I remember the first day, a leader was criticizing me for bringing a lot of clothes to Zambia. Like, he doesn't even know me, and he's criticizing me. And he reminded me of my father. So I was like the first day I knew it was gonna be a restorational experience. Yeah. So going there, it was confronting, because even going into the center environment, it is not like GPA at all. Like the Africans members, they're not so much about smiling or asking how you're doing or how's your day or how's your experience, who are you, but they're just quiet and they do their own thing. So I had to learn to create the environment that I want rather than being a victim to my circumstances, which was painful because, man, giving unconditionally hurts. I remember just saying hi to the members and the leaders every single day. Sometimes they don't even say hi to me the next day. It's like, okay, I'm being conditional, be unconditional, and then give again, give again, give again. I remember I had this experience during Hundike, because we'd wake up 5 a.m. and then, do our reading on Mother's memoir and then share our takeaways. And the leader, her name is Mika, I call her Mika-san, my older sister, chose me to pray. And I felt so honored, like, oh my gosh, the national leader is choosing me to pray for Hundike. And I was excited, so I was showing some excitement later. Some excitement during the prayer. And then later, I was told by members that was disrespectful towards the leader. Like, me showing excitement for wanting to pray towards God is disrespect. So I was like, wow, like the culture here was so confronting for me because it felt like there was no freedom, there was no joy. It's just attend God, focus on yourself, focus on the mission. And and do what needs to be told rather than enjoying the experience. So I was confronted with this. Once again, the strict African culture. But I felt it was a blessing for me because God allowed me to see the beauty behind this. Because sure, the standard is high, but it shows the level of heart that they have towards God and true parents. So during this time, I'd work on my relationship with these leaders that were difficult to be around, just by asking them how they were doing and, understanding their past and why they joined the movement and so forth, and began to develop a relationship with them. It was the same with my members. Even within my own team, there was people that resembled my parents, like one of the sisters I showed you. So it was very restorational in learning how to manage relationships. But in the end, I could find beauty in their personality, in their uniqueness as God's child. So this is a little bit of pictures of the community. This is the center. This is the prayer room we would stay at. This is where we met the national leaders, the community. Oh, the kids were so beautiful. Actually, one thing I came to love a lot about the African culture was the family aspect. They're very family orientated. So even the kids at a young age, they're learning how to do handike. It was very funny. Many times they're falling asleep playing around, and then, the teachers are reprimanding them, scolding them. But it's beautiful to see the culture of heart within the family here in this culture. Here within Zambia. And then here is our first witnessing event, and us sorting rice. Oh, I didn't tell you, it was difficult externally as well. One mistake we made was not bringing mosquito nets. So me and a brother would barely get any sleep because we're so busy fighting off mosquitoes the whole night. Eventually we got mosquito nets, but man, physically it was tough. But this is where I learned to be grateful. This was another lesson I learned, gratitude. I used to think gratitude was fake, honestly speaking. Be grateful, it's an easy way to experience God, but Zambia was so difficult externally for me at times that I had to rely on my spirit to survive. Like, how can I find God's love in this moment, as idealistic as it may sound? But I really learned to be grateful for the small things because it was so difficult. So gratitude is real. Let me tell you guys, it's real. Next slide. Second half. Okay, so this is the second half. So we're continuing our witnessing efforts. And one of my biggest highlights is teaming up with UPA once again. It was crazy because Mother at this time sent about 20 missionaries to Zambia. Some from UPA, some from Hyojorong, some from Sun Moon. Yeah. And with that, we were able to collab together as one family. Along with that, giving lectures. Man, giving Divine Principle was such a joy. It was like the first time in my life doing that. I spent countless hours studying, but giving it and seeing how people's eyes would light up after receiving the principle changed me in ways I could never imagine. Like, I remember my first POC lecture sharing about the purpose of life. People actually don't know what the purpose of their life is. It's crazy to me, and I knew this how long? Yet, for people who are just receiving this, it was life-changing. So giving principle began to become a joy. Almost like I became very passionate in sharing what I've been given. So I remember there'd be days where we're just giving lectures. Maybe I'm giving lectures 4 times a day, whether it's on the fall, restoration, POC, or true parents. But just sharing, I felt the spirit that Mother was talking about in the early days. I was just running around, finding the guests that arrived and just sharing and sharing and sharing. And even after sharing, I felt like I wanted to share more. I was like, what is this spiritual phenomenon that I'm experiencing? Along with that, learning to practice my faith. Like, once again, we were given the blessing to lead a youth program called, CIGCA. And this is basically a program for youth within the movement of Zambia to become good members. Because one thing they came to recognize is that not everyone wants to be a church leader, but for a good community to develop, we need good members who can contribute to the church. So this was a program for that. And the best part was I could pass on the blessings to my younger brothers and sisters. Because one thing I struggled with witnessing was that I was witnessing to first gen, right? but they weren't people that were going to stay for the long term, not yet at least. So I wanted to invest into people that were already within the movement, like my younger brothers and sisters. So I was given the opportunity to help pioneer this program, and it was exhausting. We had to make the lectures, the schedules, the games, and so forth. But it was amazing that I was able to share my experiences of faith with my younger brothers and sisters, and have them use that to help them in their experience, because they were new in their life of faith as well, as they were getting into fundraising. So, of course, meeting people that my uncle knew. You guys know Abdul, right? You guys heard of him? He has so many connections within Zambia. I was like, oh, you know my uncle. And it was pretty cool just to see like we're one family united under this mission. Like I didn't know these people until I came into the mission, but like we're really one global family. So, of course, challenges. Loving the hardest people. Yeah. Leaders and members alike. Everyone is just difficult to love within a center. You can imagine you're in a house with 16 people, which is 16 different personalities, along with many different emotions experienced within the day. So I really learned to get out of my comfort zone and practice principle on my own. That was the best part, practicing the principle rather than just giving it. Because I found myself in the beginning half of the mission, it was easy for me to be a hypocrite. Like, yeah, I'm sharing POC, the fall, and all these sorts of things, but am I putting it into practice? So I could see that contradiction when I would just, hang out by myself and not make effort to love those around me. So with that, I'd find brothers and sisters who were difficult to love and spend time with them just to listen and to see how they were doing and who they are. But it was a blessing because, I see like you really need God to love people who are difficult. But I saw how love could melt the hearts of people. There was this one leader I struggled with specifically because of how strict he was towards the young members. Because one thing that's still being worked upon is the standard within Zambia with Mother's New Direction. But one thing this leader would do was sometimes abuse his power with his position by punishing the members for their shortcomings. And that's something I did not like at all. Because they were young kids just getting into their faith, not knowing anything, yet they were being reprimanded for something they had no knowledge of. So I remember we had a leaders meeting and I spoke up for the first time saying how I felt that this was incorrect, the way they were leading, because Mother talks about leading with embrace and patience. Of course, they heard me, but they didn't listen to me. So I decided to take it upon myself to change what I didn't like, because, peace starts with me. So it was exhausting, but I took time after witnessing to listen to the members after fundraising, or to just spend time with them and to encourage them, or to be that source of support for them. Because the sad thing is they don't have a parental figure within the program because it was new. So there was no one for the kids to share their hearts with through all the difficulties. And you would see the kids sometimes just sit down with their heads on their hands after such a difficult experience on the front line, not knowing what to do with their emotions. So I came to see the value of having parents, honestly speaking, or someone older to take care of these kids. So I decided to take it upon myself, and it was exhausting, but in the end, I never would have imagined the impact I could have on these kids. Because as I was leaving the mission, we had a thank you party, and many of them came to thank me, saying that they were just grateful for me listening or being there for them or just encouraging them. These were small things to me, which I never would have imagined would make such a big impact. But many of them said they changed because of me to where they wanted to do it towards others. And I remember talking to the leader who I struggled with a lot, and he said he was very humbled by me because he saw how I was able to create a culture where everyone can start greeting each other. Because that's one thing I hated the most was people don't greet. Sometimes they just pass you without saying a word. It's very painful because you just talked to them yesterday and it's like you don't exist. So I was like, okay, I have to learn to love unconditionally once again. But after months of just greeting, saying hello, saying good morning, how's your day? They started doing it to each other and eventually to the leaders. So this leader told me that it's because of me that they started greeting him. And I never would have imagined that. Like I was just trying to practice my faith, yet I had an impact on the environment. So I saw that the kingdom of heaven really starts with the small things, honestly speaking. It's not so up in the clouds, but it's really between me and my brothers and sisters. It's where God is the closest. So this was one of the biggest lessons. And once again, learning to love unconditionally, which is practicing principle. Yeah. So those were the challenges and the lessons. And you can move on to the next one. Almost there. But yeah, you guys can see these are some of the, what's it called? Many of the members we took care of. This is the group, CIGCA, the kids we were raising up. We had an opportunity to host a 7-day workshop. You can see some of the participants. They had a blessing ceremony. We had one of the leaders give us lectures in the Chumchumwan. What else? Many people we were witness to. Some of the UPA missionaries. They were sent to different countries within Africa. Also, another cool thing is we would witness through playing soccer. We just play soccer with people, and after that, invite them to the event. Once again, using an environment to witness. It was so revolutionary and so joyful. I never thought that being a son of God in a time like this could be such a happy moment for me, because I was doing things that I loved while witnessing, to witness. Like, what? This is crazy. It's not a job no more, but it's my passion. So I was really grateful for Mother, for her new direction, because I saw like how impactful this was within the community, because now we had an environment for people to come and enjoy themselves while at the same time learning more about their Heavenly Parent. So, yeah, these were just some of the pictures. And to encapsulate this experience, essentially I found a lot of gratitude for our movement. Believe it or not, I was reading Uncle Chris's book at the time. It's called Providence. Yes, Entering the Providence. And what was so cool is, as this workshop was about to happen, I was reading a chapter as to when Uncle Chris was being witnessed to. That's always my favorite part of the First Gen stories, like hearing about how they got witnessed to. Like, did you meet a crazy old man on the street, or were you a hippie? Like, what happened, you know? Well, Uncle Chris was talking about going to the workshop and feeling inspired right after that. So this was an experience I was about to give to other First Gen within Zambia. So it was cool to get that kind of perspective from him through his book. So I thank you for the book, Uncle Chris. I was enjoying it. It was like very parallel to my experience at the time. It was crazy. Yeah, next. Yeah, to sum it up, so what are the biggest things I gained on my 3 years of GPA? So the biggest one is an identity as God's son. I never knew what this meant, but now I know, because it gave me a lot of purpose and direction within my life to this day. Like, I know I need to achieve the 3 great blessings, but most importantly, I need to live a legacy of love, because that's the most important thing. The most important thing within my life, the love I leave behind. Next, a family. Oh, no. Yes, a family of faith, a place where I learn to give and receive love. I was surrounded by so many people throughout my 3 years, which allowed me to love many different kinds of personalities, which wasn't easy, but it became a blessing to see how my enemies became my closest friends, believe it or not. So I also came to see that I can't do it alone, that my faith is not meant to be experienced alone. The moment I isolate myself is when I actually began to lose my faith. So I saw this beauty in a community, because looking back at it, I found so much gratitude to be born within a multicultural group. I remember like calling Uncle Chris Abuji. I didn't even recognize he was white. I was like, okay, it's natural. Or growing up with Asian brothers and sisters, it didn't bother me. But when race started to bother me was when I started going into high school with this culture of division, and racism and so forth. But my eyes were pure growing up because of this movement I was born into. And this is something that was new for the Zambians, because seeing Asians within Africa was strange, but it was a beauty after they could relate with them as brothers and sisters naturally. So I saw that I've been given a family of faith through this whole global movement, not just here, but wherever I go. Like, I was just in Colorado the other day, resting after coming back from a flight in Zambia, and they embraced me. Like, whatever community I go to, they'll embrace me as if I'm their son. So True Parents have given me a global, substantial family. It's crazy. And last thing is character. I've learned to genuinely care for other people. Yeah, I'm not perfect, but I could definitely say I've grown this desire to want to talk with people, to hear about their stories, to love. I come back home, it's still difficult. The reality within my family is like, man, it's hard to love my siblings or my parents. But I'm always going back to the message that peace starts with me, you know? And also, I need to recognize my own shortcomings. So it's an ideal I'm striving for every single day through enjoying the process of loving my brothers and sisters. But also, like, discipline. Like, GPA really disciplined me a lot because you achieve a lot of goals, whether you're fundraising or witnessing, which requires consistency. So I found the beauty in living by a standard and feeling and experiencing the fulfillment at the end when I can achieve my goal. So I never thought I could even be speaking up here today. But it's a testament as to how God has changed my life, because I feel I'm sharing about what God has done for me, not so much of myself. So GBA has changed my character completely, from a shy kid to a guy who loves speaking and interacting with other people. So next. So now you guys might be wondering, what do I plan to do moving forward? So this is one of my most favorite quotes from True Mother. It says, "The years of our youth are the best time to dedicate ourselves to exciting goals that make our hearts beat faster. Since our youth is brief, it is important to do this without delay. We don't want to be left in regret. We need to set good goals and know who to partner with to achieve them. If we do not live vigorously and create our own path, we will end up sinking in despair and envy." True Mother. So, in Zambia, I came to find my dream and my passion, and it's something I was asking God for so long, because I didn't know what I wanted to pursue within my life. But one thing I came to love in Zambia was fashion. The African people are very fashionable, if you guys didn't know. Like, everyone would dress nice, whether on a Monday, a Sunday, or a Wednesday. And the patterns are very, how do you say it? They use very colorful patterns within their clothing. So I found my passion for the arts. And one thing I want to pursue is fashion. Because Mother talks about how the best way to witness is through changing the culture within this world. Because, culture is the way that people are spoken to, whether it's music, sports, whatever it may be. But people love culture. So I want to change up the fashion culture because, it's very secular. But I want to bring in a beautiful heavenly tradition into it. So you guys are going to see it. It's still in the making, but I don't want to announce it yet because I'd rather put it into action first and then show the result, because it's easy to talk. So it's coming into formation. But one thing I came to recognize is I honestly don't want a church position. After experiencing 3 years of mission, I found like my calling is not so much within a position in the church. But one thing I was inspired by was actually Uncle Takanaka. I would talk about his way of business towards many of my second-gen friends. But I didn't know that he gave a lot to the church through his business. And that's something that inspired me the most. Because one thing I came to find in Zambia is that, or within the movement, is that financial needs are required, like for us to pursue activities and so forth. So the way I want to contribute to the Providence is through being a successful businessman. And this is something I also read within Uncle Bill's book. He was a businessman all across America. But the best way for me to witness, I feel, is through being successful. Because people follow successful people. And then from there, I can share about what I've been blessed with, So that's the way I want to contribute to the Providence, through owning a successful business, through fashion. So yeah, that's my dream. And I just want to say thank you guys for being my family, because I just feel so blessed after seeing how people are seeking for what we have here within this group. And I know, like, we're not perfect as a movement, but we're the closest thing to perfection, in my opinion, from what I've seen outside there. So yeah, I want to help build the kingdom of heaven, which is going to take a while, but we can do it. So yeah, that's my testimony. And I want to share one last video to encapsulate this whole experience. Oh, also, Uncle Takanaka, what's his name? The YSP president said hi. Yeah. Yeah, President Matsuda. He told me to give greetings to you.
That's it. Thank you.